Hey guys, so today we are out in the Crow's Nest Pass, which is a super underrated location. And in this video, I'm gonna show you how to get the best cinematic footage out of your drone. So before we get started, just basics, we're gonna be filming in 4K 60, and I am gonna be using the camera that comes with the drone, not a GoPro up here. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is go into your goggles and turn on the crop so that it crops out the propellers from the shot. I always have it so that I can see the propellers through the goggles, but when it's recording, there's an auto setting where it automatically crops out your propellers. Next, you're going to want to add a grid to your view. So I use a couple of different grids depending on what I'm doing. Most of the time I have the one with the X, but if I know I'm going to be filming for Instagram or something, I'll put the ones with the grids on so that you can get everything nice and centered. It just helps visually see where center is so that if you're going to be posting it to Instagram, you can get all the movement in like the center frame. And I always find it always helps keeping my horizon level too. Next, you're gonna wanna go into the color picture profile and turn on Cine-like. This is gonna be a flat image profile and is gonna save the most information so that you can retain your highlights and hopefully retain your shadows as well. However, this is gonna take some color grading, so if you don't wanna do that and you want it straight out of camera, then you can just skip this step. Finally, you're gonna wanna go into the camera and change it from auto to manual. This is gonna make sure that once you set your image, there's not gonna be any color shift or any exposure change as you're flying. First, what you can do is set your white balance to manual, so it's a pretty bright and sunny day, so we're gonna set it to 5600. And the saturation, you can just leave where it is. So finally, we're gonna set our shutter speed. So to set your shutter speed, that is really hard to say. Set your shutter speed. So shutter speed is going to depend on if you have ND filters or not. So if you don't have ND filters, basically you can just crank your shutter speed as high or as low as you need, as long as everything is exposed properly. Because we're filming in 4K 60, you don't want to go below 120 frames per second because your shutter speed always has to be double your frame rate. So 60 times 2 is 120. But don't go below that or else your image will get really choppy. Okay, so now let's talk about ND filters. So what an ND filter is basically a sunglass for your camera. So what it does is it darkens everything out here so that you can drop your shutter speed to 120 frames per second, which is ideal. 120 frames per second when you're filming in 60p will give you the most natural looking motion blur and will look the most natural to your eye. If you don't have an ND filter and you're cranking it, it's gonna look fine, but you're gonna see around the edges that you don't get any motion blur and your image is really sharp and doesn't look very natural. It's actually kind of a really subtle thing, but it actually does make a difference, which I'll show you in a second. Now, as a little bit of a disclaimer, I did buy these with my own money. They did not send these to me, but they are like actually the secret sauce to getting really good cinematic video. So if you guys are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, so there's all the camera settings. So let's get this drone in the air and show you guys the before and afters. Okay, so there it is. I hope you guys can see a little bit of the difference that these settings make. The rest is gonna be up to you with lots of practice and try to really perfect those flying skills. So I'm sure you guys just saw in the before and afters that these NDs actually make a huge difference. On the camera that we're filming on right now, we're actually filming with an ND and I'm wearing sunglasses, so that's kind of like an ND as well. If you guys are interested in these, again, I'll leave a link in the description. But if you guys liked this video and thought it was helpful, please hit that like button. It actually helps us out. And if you want to see more videos like this, if you want to see any of our weekly vlogs, be sure to hit that subscribe button so we can see you next week. Peace.